Welcome everybody to IFFR Afterthoughts. You've just seen Dear Comrades by Andrei Konchalovsky. He is here present and joined by the leading actress of the film, Yulia Vyazutskaya. Welcome. Thank you both for your time and thank you for the beautiful film that you made that played in Venice this year, won the special jury prize, and I think deservedly so for how rich and layered it is. And this brings me maybe to my first question. This event that took place in Novocherkassk in 1962 is, of course, a very intense experience, but yet you show it in many different ways. In some ways, there's also some light humor or some slight satire present in the film. Andrei and Julia, could you talk a little bit about the tone that you wanted to convey when depicting this moment from Soviet history?
I don't think that I really wanted to make this historical event be absolutely be on the screen. I was thinking first that it would be interesting, but then I forgot about this project because I found the whole story in 90s, in the beginning of 90s. But then I forgot about it for 10 years. And then later it came because it came back to me because I was thinking, uh, how to make a Greek tragedy. And we were doing Greek tragedy, Sophocles, in Italy, and Julia was on the stage as Antigone. And I start to think that it may be interesting if Julia will do something as a tragic character on the screen. Then the idea came how to make this character tragic uh, and emerge from this event.
Mm-hmm.
This event, the knowledge of this event, and the knowledge of the actress, I decided to put it together and try to write a script about
Mm.
it. This story, every story can be told from so many different point of view. It could be point of view of a child, point of view of some worker, point of view of a soldier, etc. So it was important for me to find a point of view that will represent a great dichotomy, great conflict, interior conflict between convictions and reality, between idea and ideology and how this ideology manifests itself. That's why I thought it will be a great idea to make a film about a real staunch communist, real, uh, real very, very pure Soviet person who the majority of Soviet people at that time was in their 40s. So they were born in 20s, then they went to the war, then they believed in Stalin, then they became Stalinist and very convinced, pure communist, majority of them, not career, not some kind of restitution ideologically, politically. They were pure people. They're really the fighters, the fighters. And that kind of character present to me a very ambivalent today, a character because we have certain cliche of everything.
Yeah.
This is Soviet communist, it means career, career building. This is officer of KGB who is an evil guy. This is a good one, etc. So this cliche usually are quite shallow.
Yeah.
People never very only in film, the absolute bad people or absolute good. People are bad one time and good another. They're stupid one time and they're very clever another. So in that idea with ambivalence, I start to work on the film and wrote a script and then we start to shoot it. It was wonderfully easy to shoot the film.
Even the intense...
Especially having an actress like her.
I can imagine, because you already worked together on 7 films, if I'm not mistaken, and as you said, also theater productions. Julia, maybe you can talk a little bit, because you also worked with many other different directors. What works so well in your collaboration with Andrei?
He doesn't have to talk to me. Doesn't have to explain things. But seriously, I think that because we see many things in art and in life, kind of not in a similar way, but very close. Our point of view quite often is the same one, I would say. But so we don't have to fight that much as maybe I can fight with other directors because they have different ideas. Here I share a point of view of this director, almost always, not always, almost.
Yeah, it sounds good when there's a little bit of fighting about the creative process sometimes.
They should be. Without fight, the real truth won't be found.
Andrei, you said that the shooting of the film was very pleasant, but the film does depict some very horrifying moments. Of course, Julia, the moment where your character is almost overwhelmed and immersed by the whole outbreak of fighting between the soldiers and the protesters. This is a very intense thing that we see quite explicitly. What was it like to depict that particular moment?
You know, I didn't say pleasant.
Okay.
Very easy.
That's a big difference.
It was easy in a sense that we knew what we're doing, and I didn't have many, maybe because of my experience, quite extensive, because of maybe because of it, the script was kind of clear, but of course, you know, with actor, sometimes you have to pinch the actor. Sometimes you have to, you know, say some brutal words. You should, but there are different ways to work with actor. But with Julia, I just didn't have to do anything except doesn't interrupt her.
Mm-hmm. And then what was it like to shoot these very elaborate, huge scenes? You have many extras in some instances, many people. What I think is very interesting is that the scope of the film feels very big, but the frame is limited, but within the frame you have all these interesting layers. Can you talk about the visual style of how you wanted to depict this era and this struggle within that era?
Let me tell you, the smaller the screen is, the better your imagination work. You can see the whole action through through the crack in the door, and imagine much more. Then you have a large screen IMAX, and then you have everything there, and it can be quite empty. You know, for me, it's a question. It's not a big problem. You have to work with proper assistants. I have very good assistants, you know, they are like shepherds. And you work with big audience. Usually, it's one emotion, one movement. The much more difficult thing is intimate things. That was much more difficult because you have to be very meticulous in selection of behavior or in selection of things you want to show as well is selection of things you don't want to show in order to suggest the audience, to prompt the audience imagination. For example, when we put camera inside of hairdresser room, through the window, it's kind of remote in a sense, but less you are in, more you can imagine. It's interesting thing that I discover for myself, not in the early years of my direction.
That was exactly the question I wanted to ask, because you also made films in Hollywood where I presume the opposite is sometimes true, or people think the opposite is true. So is it also those experiences of working on films like Tango and Cash that shaped this later film style of yours that is maybe a bit more restrained but more imaginative?
Yes, because Hollywood has its own, not Hollywood and television has its own idea of film language, and selection of images usually is following the action. The moving camera is follows, and now camera moves all the time like this, something, and it becomes kind of a cliche. And instead, I'm interested in movement inside of the shot instead of moving. So because when shot is static, but movement inside, it becomes an event. And it's very interesting to understand that we don't, thank God, we don't know everything about language. We have still mystery to discover. We have to be very attentive to the nature of image, and very attentive also to possibility of human brain to imagine. And very often we are so imposing image that the spectator doesn't have anything to imagine. He just have everything pre-digested.
Yeah.
Although when you sneak on something, it can be much more powerful than you sit there and witness it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting philosophy that I appropriated from Bergman.
I'm wondering about the depiction of this era as well, because this is 1962. This is also a year in which you yourself kind of broke through as a filmmaker, partially also collaborating with Tarkovsky. So reshaping this specific moment in history, does nostalgia in some ways inform your decisions as well? How you show Soviet life?
Well, yeah, it might be, you can say nostalgia, because, I lived that time.
Yeah.
I was a conscious person. And of course, I can make a restoration of this period much more effective than a young person. And very often I see film of young directors about some period and I wink because it's false. But false, it's not necessarily the ambience. False, it's even a face. Faces are changing. If you take the photos of Rotterdam people in 1960s, there will be different faces.
Yes.
And these faces that don't know what does it mean selfie.
I understand. Julia, how was that for you? Because, I mean, you yourself were born in the area of Novocherkassk. So what was it like for you to recreate or be part of this recreation of these events that I can assume have had a big impact on this region?
Yes, I was born there, and the south of Russia is my homeland. But I left when I was quite young, although my relatives lived there. Nobody knew about, of course they knew, but nobody talked about this event. It was forbidden, and it was engraved in them. They even in the 90s, when the information came out, when everybody was already capable of retrieving some information about it, still in my family nobody talked about it. So for me it was also, you know, it was a discovery as well for as for many other people. And of course the challenge, it wasn't to, you know, to be in the city you were born and to play such a part. For me, challenge was to find in this communist, this pure fighter for her beliefs. Militant, yes. For, in the war, she went through the war. She went through many terrible things in her life, and the the moment she is losing her own child, that's when she's crushed for real.
Yeah.
So she wasn't scared. Of course, she was scared as a human being, but still, she went through the Second World War. She was in many difficult situations in her life, and she wasn't afraid for her own life. But when she loses her child, that's when she's lost. And for me, that was the most interesting, I think, this thing about this part.
I think it's very beautiful. It's also maybe a little bit about love that transcends ideology. And my question for both of you would be if you would consider this to be in some ways also a hopeful film, that this love is bigger than politics and ideology, or do you think different about that?
It's very cumbersome to answer from the artist's point of view on ideological basis or rational basis of what I've done as an artist. As an artist, I like write the music. You know, I always envy a composer or a conductor when they ask, why did you write this third symphony? There is no answer, because I liked it.
Yeah.
So the same thing, the shortest answer, because I wanted to write this music. Because film as music develops in time. The ratio, the rationalization came later on when I saw the film several times. When I wrote the script, I never thought about it. When I shot the film, I didn't think about it. But when I saw the film several times, I realized that this is about a conventional fear. Not terror, but fear. The film is about a fear that everyone should forget forever this tragedy and the victims. And that was, for me, a great discovery, because I didn't think this way. And that's very important, that the lady, the girl, the woman, she overcomes the fear by her absolute human, almost animalistic instinct, because fear is killed by emotions. That's basically a beautiful formula that I found just now.
That is very beautiful. Thank you. Final question would be, Andrei, you're now, if I'm not mistaken, working on a very ambitious project that takes place in 1917 and is about the revolution, if I am correct. Could you talk a little bit about what you're working on now?
You know, every project is ambitious.
Especially yours.
No, every project is ambitious. And then, as I used to say, there is no boring stories, only boring storytellers. So everything can be ambitious if you take a certain point of view where the audience is in trouble. The audience is in trouble to decide who is good, who is bad. When the audience has this kind of turbulence. And that's very important, because life all the time gives us certain tasks to decide, and we have to decide. And for me, the greatest thing as an artist, not to let audience give the pure answers, but let them think, live through, and then be in trouble.
Yeah. To be in trouble, that sounds already very promising. So final question, Julia, Andrei, are you working together on this new project again? Will we see Julia in it?
Of course.
Well,
and she's really spurring me because she wants as soon as possible. So I'm working as soon as I can.
Thank you, Julia. You're doing us all a great service. Thank you both so much for your very interesting remarks on the film and your observations, and for the film itself, Dear Comrades, playing here at Film Festival Rotterdam. It will have a Dutch cinema release, hopefully soon when the cinemas reopen. So spread the word. Thank you to both of you. Wish you a very beautiful day and hope to see you soon again.
Thank you. God bless. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.